Hello, my friends. Good to be with you. So one of the common questions that arises in this journey of awakening as the consciousness that we are, the unconditional loving awareness of being that we are, the essential grace that we are. A common question that arises is, am I awake? Is this it? Is this it? I've been in the practice for a while. I've been meditating and studying and practicing self-inquiry, and I'm wondering, is this it? And we can think of that question as a little bit of a doubt, a little uncertainty. It's questioning, is this it? Am I awake? Is this awake? Recognize that the presence of the doubt, the presence of the question, is not an indication of not being either. Is not an indication of either not being awake or awakening. The question is going to arise on behalf of the personal self. And there's always going to be, in this incarnation, a personal self. Now, along this journey, it lessens its authority, its dominance. It thins. It becomes much more gentle, that personal self, the egoic identity, so that it can fall into the background and be more of in a humble servitude to our divine grace, our divine truth. So we're always going to have a personal self. And that personal self includes the mind. And the mind of the personal self is going to have questions. We all know the mind just thinks things. So the idea isn't that as long as a question exists, I must not be awake. So what is the question? The litmus test, if we will, is to see if when that doubt, when that confusion, when that uncertainty arises, am I awake yet? If there's the ability to leave the question alone, to allow it to arise, notice it, and even if you start to touch it, start to work with it, but then take your hands off, lay back, sit back, and be able to notice the arising of a question of doubt and uncertainty on behalf of the personal self. Yeah, there's that question. And maybe you ponder it, touch it a little bit, ponder it. Am I? Well, how do I know? And in that moment, you just see if you can stop and pull back and identify as the awareness within which that thought has temporarily arisen and will pass. But if you struggle with the thought, the only one that struggles with a thought is the personal self. A sign, if you will, an earmark of awakening or being in an awake. It's not a state. To be awakened as the consciousness that you are is to allow and notice and be with a thought, an uncertainty that has arisen on behalf of the personal self. And you can work with it a little bit. I don't know. Here's the question. Am I really awake? How do I know? Here's how you know. Are you able to stop and be completely at peace with the presence of the thought? And if you're not, then to be at peace with not being at peace with the presence of the thought. In other words, to have an awakening occurring enough so that there is at least the ability to notice a struggle, a suffering. I don't know, I'm not there yet. Why am I not? How far down the rabbit hole do you go? Maybe you go a little bit. And are you able at any point to stop and to notice that all of the struggle and difficulty is happening on behalf of the one who posed the question in the first place? And you are the awareness. The truth of you is the awareness of every thought that arises. Don't worry about the fact that you're still questioning. That's going to happen. There is a personal self. There's always going to be a personal self in this incarnation. The degree to which it is dominant and demanding and controlling, and the degree to which it is just present and surrendered and serving a purpose of knowing that there's a personal identity, a sense of individuation in this incarnation of form and time and space. It serves a purpose, this personal self, the egoic identity, which is the sense of individuation. It's always going to be there. And when it throws a thought into consciousness, as it will, as it does, and we don't often have control of when it happens and how it happens and what's the nature of the thought. When it does, to what degree are you able to be at peace with even a disturbing or confusing thought? That is where you're starting to notice, there is an awakened consciousness, because I didn't get so hooked by the thought. I didn't worry about getting the answer to that thought correct. The question, am I awake yet, cannot be answered with the mind. It's only answered by the experience of being at rest in a grace of equanimity, or an equanimity of grace, truly allowing the thought to arise. Ponder it, play with it if you want. Don't worry about it. Can you remain at peace with the thought? Is this it? Am I awake? If you're truly able just to be at rest and remain at peace with the presence of that uncertainty, of that doubt, of that question, then yes, there is a presence of awakened consciousness. Another little nuance to this is that in this journey, we continue our studies. We continue our meditations. We continue our inquiries in different forms, in different ways, as we mature in this, as the awakening of that consciousness burgeons and grows. The quality or tenor or shape of our inquiries or meditations, they will change, but they continue. Why? Because we are constantly and continuously, not constantly, we are continually reminded of truth in our pauses throughout the day and night. We're reminded, yes. There I am. The equanimity of grace, the unwavering peace of being in the background of all experience. I am the stillness in the background of all experience. Oh yes, that's right. We are reminded. That's an awakened consciousness. You know that awakened consciousness is veiled, or that awakening consciousness is veiled or clouded by the egoic perspective when you still need convincing. You're identified with the one who needs convincing. You're identified as the one that needs convincing. Consciousness doesn't need convincing. It's at peace with itself. It's at peace with everything. So you'll notice that being reminded of the truth is just a welcome beauty. Oh yeah, there I am. Oh, okay, all right. There's the peace that I am. It's just remembered. Another reminder, another reminder, another reminder, another reminder. And we're just reminded. But if we need convincing, if there's argument, if there's a struggle with the doubt, if there's a suffering in the doubt, in the uncertainty, in the questioning, then you know that the egoic self is still more dominant than the awakened consciousness. So it's to understand it's not getting to a place where we don't ever need reminding again. It's that we don't ever need convincing again. That is an awakened consciousness. To no longer need convincing that you are who you are. You may forget and remember, but when you remember, it's just instantaneous. All right, my friends, blessings. Be well.